Hello everyone, welcome back to the course of Code Java, and today in our lesson number 21 we are going to learn about method overriding. Okay, so in our today's lesson we'll see what are some basics of method overriding, how you can do method overriding in Java, and what is dynamic method dispatch, and also we'll see what are the rules for return type that Java has, and also why constructor overriding is invalid in Java. Okay, so to start with our first subtopic, that is basics of method overriding, I already have a sample code written here. Okay, so as you can see there is a polygon class. Okay, there is a polygon class and it has two variable dim1 and dim2, that means dimension 1 and dimension 2, and I have a default constructor called here, and I have a parameterized constructor. It will take the two argument and it will assign the value to the two variables. Okay, and then I have one rectangle class. It extends the polygon. Okay, that means it has the properties from the polygon class as well. Okay, as I have already explained in our previous lesson how inheritance works, right? Though, so rectangle will have the properties of polygon, and also triangle also, it is also doing the same thing. It's extending polygon, so it will have both the variables of polygon. Okay, so here I have a simple constructor called, it is calling super only, nothing special. Okay, so now we want to see how method overriding works. Okay, first let us declare one variable like, sorry, one method like area, right? Area for polygon will simply print area is invalid, right? That is because we will not be using the polygon class to get the area, because polygon will not be defined at that moment, right? And we will return -1. Okay, got it? So inside the rectangle class we will have the same method as well, but here it will return length. Okay, we'll not use length, of course we'll use dimension 1 and dimension 2. Okay, here also for area of rectangle we have height and base, right? That will be return dimension 1 into dimension 2 divided by 2. Okay, so here as you see I already have a method which returns double, and the name of the method is area in polygon. Okay, so when I am calling the same method in the child class, right, see the number of argument has not changed and the return type has stayed the same. Okay, so in that case what happens is that the method that is defined in the child class overrides the method that is there in your parent class. So this is what method overriding is. Overloading, we have already seen overloading, right? If you can recall, overloading means the same method name exists in different form, but the argument should be different, right? Argument data type should be different, or the number of arguments should be different. But in case of overriding, what is happening is that the number of arguments stays the same. The main thing is happening is that the child class is overriding the parent classes method. Okay, that means the child method overrides the parent method. The same thing triangle is also doing. Okay, so when I will write my code you will get a better understanding. I have a public class sample override. Here we'll call this method. Okay, I have a rectangle object R and triangle object T. Okay, so what happens when I call R area, right? Okay, I'll use this to print, right, area of, just for shortcut I'll write like this, R dot area. Okay, similar to this I will write area of triangle, okay, plus T, right? So when I run this, I will be getting a output like this, right, which is expected. We did not get the parent output. Area is invalid. This we did not get. Instead, we are getting whatever logic that we defined in our child method. Okay, dimension 1 into dimension 2, 50 we got, and this area of rectangle 37.5 we got, right? So this is what your method overriding is. So moving on, our next subtopic is dynamic method dispatch. So what this means is that in our previous lessons I already explained what is reference variable and what is an object. Okay, so the concept of dynamic method dispatch relates to that only. Okay, so to explain that, I have a code where I have three classes: class A, class B, and class C. So A is your parent, B extends A, and C extends B, right? Okay, simple. And then in the main class I have three main method, I have three objects A, B, and C. Okay, let's say I write like this. What will happen? That means I have a reference variable R of the type A class, right? But no object is assigned to this. Okay, what happens when I write R equals to A, R dot show, R equals to B, R dot show, R equals to C, R dot show. Okay, so let me just run it once, then I will explain you what's happening in this code. Okay, so here you see the first call is when I assigned R equal to A, we are getting from A. When I assigned R equal to B, we are getting from B, and when I assigned R equal to C, we are getting from C. Okay, so let me first explain with respect to reference variable. So what happened here is that I have a reference variable of superclass. Okay, please keep this in mind: superclass reference variable, right? So this part is very easy to understand. Here I have a reference variable is pointing to the object of its own class, nothing special here. And then when I call r dot show, of course we are getting the parent method only, right? But what about this? What about this? This is subclass object. Okay, so dynamic method dispatch is that when you have a superclass reference variable, and using that you can assign any of the subclass objects. So there is no restriction from Java, like you cannot assign any other object. You can assign any object as long as the as long as the object is derived. That means as long as the object inherits the parent class. That means here A is your parent class, B and C both ultimately inherit A, right? C extends B. That means what? If you look at the chain, of course C inherits A as well, right? So keeping that in mind, when I assign the reference variable to any of the subclass object B or C, we can call the method of that child class dynamically. That means when I assign R equal to B, I can call the method of B. When I assign R equal to C, I can call the method of C. That's why we got the output from A, from B, and from C. So moving on, we will see another example of method overriding, but this time our goal is to understand what are some rules that are related to return types. Okay, so let me just explain you with this same example, same class. Okay, same code. I will just write double here. Okay, double. What happens? It's throwing error, right? Right now it's showing red color. That means, as I already explained, method overriding does not support different return type, but there is a condition here. What is that condition? What happens when I write A? Okay, A means it will return a object of A class, right? I can write like this: return A, new keyword, right? So this is a perfectly correct code, right? That means this method show will now return a. Okay, a object. Here, according to our previous logic, it should also return a, right? But instead of that, what I will write? I will write b. Okay, return new b. See, this is not throwing any error. This is not throwing any error. So this is one exception you can say in the rule of return type, is that you can return any object, right? Return type means what? You can return any object, any primitive data, anything you can return. But in method overriding, return type should be same. But there is an exception where you can return one object, and in the overridden method you can return a subclass of that object as well, subclass of that class as well. Okay, here it's not showing error. Why? Because I'm returning b, object of b, which is ultimately extended from a. So because of this, it is perfectly acceptable in Java, right? So here, just to show you a more clarity, I will write b only, not c, so that it does not confuse you, right? Okay, I keep forgetting new. It should be new, right? So it's returning the new object. See, a parent, when we can return the subclass as well. Okay, coming on to our last subtopic, that is why constructor overriding is invalid in Java. Let's take a simple example from our previous class, right? Here you see the polygon constructor is named as polygon, right? Obviously the rule of constructor is it should have the same name as your class. Coming to the rectangle that is extending polygon, how can I call it polygon? It is not possible to call the constructor of rectangle to be polygon, right? So by that simple logic, constructor overriding is simply not possible. And also you may think like, okay, you can name the child class as polygon, but that will create a ambiguity, right? Then when you write polygon, which one will it refer? Either will it refer the child or will it refer the parent? So obviously that is also null and void, that is also will not be supported, right? So why constructor overriding is not supported? First is constructor should have the same name of your class. Then your child class obviously cannot have the same name as your parent class, and if you connect this two logic, obviously the the constructor cannot be overridden, because the constructor of the child cannot have the same name as the parent constructor, right? Okay, because we know overriding means it should have the same name. So hope you understood all the 4 subtopics of today's lesson, and if you have any doubt then feel free to comment down below and we will surely try to clear all your doubts. So like and share with your friends whoever is interested in learning Java, and do subscribe to our channel for more such videos. Thank you.